Joining us now is Mohammad Sohail Shaheen. He's the official spokesperson of the Taliban for what is the first interview post the calling off of the talks by US President Donald Trump. Thank you very much, Mohammad Sohail Shaheen, for speaking with us. President Trump, while he called off the peace talks after 9 rounds back in September, he said the reason he is doing so is because the Taliban killed an American soldier, because in his opinion, you were trying to increase your bargaining position or your leverage in the dialogue. Is that correct? Do you agree with Trump's assessment, or how would you counter Trump's assessment that you killed this American soldier only to increase your leveraging position?
If that is the case, he says, why they launch attacks against us? What are their attacks in order to gain leverage in the talks? Because they have started the attacks before our retaliation and our reaction. So that was not for the leverage in the talks, not at all. It was only that they had attacked our places, our people, and killed our men and civilians, so we had to retaliate. That was only that. And at the same time, there was no ceasefire. The ceasefire was to begin after the signing of the peace agreement, which had not been signed. If the agreement is signed today, immediately the ceasefire will start with the American side.
Also at the UNGA last month, the Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan quite proudly proclaimed that his government was the only one in the region that had the leverage with the Taliban to bring you folks back to the negotiating table. A, is that assessment correct? B, what is the nature of your relationship with Pakistan and the Pakistani government?
First, we are already in the negotiation. You know that we were for the last 1 year. We had about 9 round of talks with the American negotiation team, and we concluded a peace agreement along with annexes, and it is only to be signed. It means if the negotiation had not been called off by President Trump, the peace agreement would have been signed, and there would have been a ceasefire in Afghanistan. While the Americans withdrawing from Afghanistan, we would have provided them a safe passage. So we have our own national interest in Afghanistan. Based on that, we are conducting our negotiation with the Americans, and we have to maintain relation with all other countries, whether the world countries, neighboring countries, and regional countries. So there is, we have this criteria. There is nothing that we do this or not to do this for the sake of any given country.
You also recently decided to release a few Indian prisoners who were in your custody for a few years in exchange for some of your members who India has now released. Can you shed some light on how this happened, how this breakthrough happened, what were the backroom negotiations that happened, who were the players involved? Any more information that you can share with us?
Yes, our delegation had some meetings about the prisoners in their visit, their last visit. Yes, there was some talks about that. Yes.
The big fear, Mr. Shaheen, in India here is that as America draws down its troops in Afghanistan, that the Taliban will divert many of its fighters towards Kashmir, and that could pose a problem for India. Is this assessment correct? What would you say to the Indian government and to Indian negotiators to reassure them that the Taliban does not pose a threat to India?
First, it is not genuine fear. It is not a reality. Why we should turn our fighters to India, while we need, after the liberation of our country, reconstruction of our country, and to have a relation with other countries to help us in reconstruction and development of our country. So we do not have any policy of interference in any other countries. Rather, we want to have good relation with all global and neighboring and regional countries.